Happy Thursday evening from Rocky Top. We are so glad that you are here with us this evening for session four of the 2025 Tennessee Family Series. As you were joining us, go ahead and get comfortable, get your favorite snack, your favorite drink. We have some great folks here to share with you tonight. So we are going to give you a couple minutes to get those snacks, refill water, whatever you need to do, and we will get started here shortly. But we are so glad that you've decided to spend your Thursday night with us. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome again to session four, all things student success here on Rocky Top this evening. My name is Todd Cox. I serve as the director of our Center for Student Advocacy, which includes our family experience here at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. And we are super excited that you have decided to spend a little bit of time with us in this session to hear from some wonderful folks about all things student success. And so, as we get started this evening, just want to give you a little bit of information real quickly because we want to hear from you. And so, you will probably notice that your chat feature has been disabled, but don't fret. We have the Q&A feature for you. And so, what this is this gives you the opportunity to ask questions of our panelists using that Q&A button down there. So, you can click on that and you can submit your question to us. As we answer those questions, they will appear in the all questions. So if there's something that comes in that's information you need, you'll find it right there in those all questions tab, or we may answer your question here live with our panelists. A couple things we do ask, the first being, please do not resubmit your questions. We get to the questions as quickly as we can and to as many as we can during the session. And so as you're going through those, just submit it once for us. I promise we'll see it and do our best to get to it, as well as we are talking about student success tonight. So that is going to be our topic. So other questions that you may have about previous panelists or other things, we encourage you to reach out to those departments or reach out to our team so that we can answer those. So Q&A feature will be your go-to for asking your questions this evening. So now, panelists, welcome. Thank you for spending part of your Thursday night with us. We appreciate you being here. Before we jump in, we want to hear from you. You all play a unique role in the success of our students here on Rocky Top. So tell us a little bit about that, who you are and what you do to play into that success within your role. So, Johnny, I'm going to kick it off with you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Johnny. I am with the Office of First Year Experience. And our job is to make sure that your students have a smooth transition to UT and a successful first year. So we do that by offering what we call the New Vol experience. All of your students will go through this program. It is a six-phase program that kicked off in June and will continue through next March. So the first three phases, they should be completing right now. Maybe they've already finished some of those phases. That's going to be Vol 101, our online introduction to UT. Vol 102, their new student advising appointment and course registration. And then Vol 103, which was our optional on-campus experience program that ran through the month of June. And then the last three phases will start in August once they're here on campus and will continue through the spring semester. So we have Vol 104, Big Orange Welcome. Vol 105, their first year seminar course, and then Vol 106, our Vol Start Back program that will run in January. So tonight I'm happy to answer any of your questions about any of the phases, but specifically Big Orange Welcome and first year seminars as we look towards the fall semester and getting that started soon.
Hi everyone, I'm Jenny Ward. I work in the Center for Career Development and Academic Exploration, and our focus is on career success. So we have teams of ACE coaches, which are academic and career exploration coaches, with which help students choose majors, change majors. We advise students who are exploratory or still deciding on majors at UT. Then we have our career coaches, and they work with the students' employers and faculty by industry. So they help students move from their major to their career goals. They work with students on finding part-time jobs, internships, connecting with employers through some of our career events and job fairs, and even planning for grad school or professional school post-graduation.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jenny Boucher. I work in our Academic Success Center. I work specifically with our academic coaches who are available to work with your students on whatever it takes to help them be academically successful in their time at UT. So every student who comes to the university, both first-year students, freshmen, and transfers, are assigned an academic coach, the majority of which in the Academic Success Center, but there are also academic coaches in the University Honors, the Veterans Center, and the Thornton Center for our student athletes. Um, like I said, we're here to help your students in whatever that might need. It's very individualized, very specific to the individual student needs. And then we also host a lot of workshops and different events around campus to make sure that they know that we are here and available to help in any way.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tabitha Vialda. I am Associate Director of the Ball Study Center, which is tutoring and supplemental instruction. So we have about 100 tutors and SI leaders that work for us, and we assist in over 240 subjects. Students who use our services have higher GPAs, sometimes even a full grade higher than students who don't use our services. So I hope to talk to you more about our services later in the webcast.
Hi, everyone. My name is Heather Webb. I work in Student Disability Services. I'm the Communication Access Coordinator in Disability Services. I work with a host of other access coordinators. My main focus is working with students with hearing disabilities, and as well as other disabilities. The access coordinators within our office work with students to develop accommodation plans that are implemented within the classroom. We coordinate with faculty and staff to implement those accommodations. So we'll work closely with any student that comes to our office is registered and has a documented disability.
Awesome. Thank you, panelists, and thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We already have questions coming in, so we are going to jump in. And Johnny, I am going to throw the first one to you, and I'm going to give you a two-parter. We're starting with curveballs here tonight. So, the first couple questions that come in, one is about Big Orange Welcome that you mentioned. And is that just for first-year students? Can transfer students come? Kind of go ahead and share us what that looks like for an incoming student based on their classification. The second part is then the FIS class. Is it required? Is it not? What are the details of that and all the benefits that come with that course? So, would love to hear about Big Orange Welcome and FIS 101.
Yeah, so Big Orange Welcome is for both first year students and transfer students. There will actually be required events that first week, kind of before, once you move in and then before classes start. There'll be required programs for first year students and transfers, and then it actually is 6 weeks long. So from August 11th all the way through like the first week of October, there will be over 700 different events, and every single one of those events is open to both first years and transfer students. Those required events that I mentioned before classes start, you already have those dates if you want. It is at the end. It's also on our website, so you can check out the required events list, but we will send you more emails come July with more specific details, when exactly, where, all the things you need to know. And then first year seminars. So we say first year seminar, but kind of covers FYS 101, which is for first year students, and TRNS 201, which is for transfer students. So both are technically optional. If you are a first year student or you have a first year student, when they had their advising appointment, they were automatically registered for an FYS section. But depending on your major, you may be able to drop that, change that We really encourage that all first year students, however, stay in that course. And then if you're a transfer student, you have the option of registering for TRNS 201. So whenever you meet with your advisor, just let them know you're interested in taking that. It's only 1 credit hour, and it really covers everything that you need to know to be successful, not only as a college student, but specifically here at UT. We cover very niche courses that are only available to you as a vol, and just really help you be successful through those next however long you are here with us.
Awesome. Thanks, Johnny. Can definitely attest as someone who has taught the FYS class. It's so important, but so much great curriculum, and it's fun. Like, it's a fun class. It's a good break from your major specific or those elective classes. So definitely from our side, we highly recommend it. So thanks for sharing about that, and for Big Orange, welcome. Jenny Ward, want to move over to you now, thinking about CCDAE. And so we'd love for you to share with us about what advice you have for students who are looking for jobs. What platforms or what resources are out there for them? And also for families, how can they still support their student even from afar, and their student finding a job, conversations to have, all that kind of stuff?
Mhm. That was a big question, Todd. So I think that the students who are looking for part-time jobs, there are two things I would tell a student. One is that our part-time job fair is August 26th, so that's a Tuesday. It's from 2 to 5 p.m. in the Student Union Ballroom. And we usually have 60 or 70 on campus and near to campus employers who are interested in hiring students for part-time work. So that's a really casual event. Students don't have to do any prep to attend. They can just roll in and roll out and connect with employers who are interested in hiring them. And the second thing is that we have a Handshake platform, and Handshake is the system we use to connect students with part-time jobs, internships, full-time jobs, career events, our job fairs. It's how they can do industry research, company research. So they will be able to access Handshake in August, the first week of classes. So they have to attend their first class on campus in order for the system to feed Handshake all of the current data for incoming students. And as soon as they have access, they can log in, set up their profile, begin to look for part-time jobs. We have collections that are first year friendly, collections that are like near campus. So lots of different groupings that students can just click and see jobs without even doing any heavy lifting to search. They'll also get on Handshake in their first year studies course 2 times. They'll log in once just to learn how to set up their profile, and then a second time to search for a part-time job or internship. So if they're not interested in doing it that first week of school, they can wait until they're onboarded in their first year studies or BUAD 100 course. And then they should start to see marketing for the part-time job fair on campus. If they want to follow us on Vol Careers as well, they could do that. And then in terms of family support, I think it's really what anyone on the panel would say, and that is to just encourage students to use the resources. They'll learn about the Career Center. There's a career readiness lesson in the first year studies content. They'll learn how to make appointments with those career coaches. They'll learn about Handshake. They'll learn about the resources that students use for experiential learning, for finding those internships. So I think, encouraging students to use the resources, look us up on career.utk, follow us on Vol Careers, and just, ask the questions and take advantage of the help.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jenny. As someone who interacted a lot with their career center at their undergraduate institution, but waited until that senior year, a great thing for first year students, second year, wherever you're at, to interact with you all. So thank you for sharing about that and some of those resources we have available for students. Jenny Boucher, want to move to you now. I have to make sure you use last names. We got two Jennies here. I'm going to get myself confused. But want to talk about, you mentioned that you get to work with coaches. And so I think, we have a lot of families who come in and is like, okay, what is this coach? And, Jenny just mentioned career coaches. So can you kind of talk a little bit about what is this academic coach? How is it different than an advisor? And what are they doing for our students?
Yeah, happy to. And it's a question we get often, especially when you hear the term coach in a variety of different spaces in your life. So, just as an athletic coach helps a person become a better athlete in whatever sport they're in and trains them in a way to perform at their best, an academic coach does that very same thing with students in their academics. So, we are here to work with students on things like learning strategies, study strategies, that adjustment from being a high school student to being a college student and what it means to engage in their classes and engage on campus. Johnny talked about a lot of activities that are going to be going on campus. They might have a job that's been connected through Center for Career Development and Academic Exploration, and they're taking classes. And they might be living alone for the first time. All of these things are new to our students, and our academic coaches are here to help them navigate through all of that, learn how to manage their various responsibilities, stay on top of their assignments, and be a successful student. So, like I said, as an athletic coach is helping someone be a great athlete, we are there to help a student be a great student. Everybody can use a coach. They don't need to be struggling to come in and see us. We love to see students from the beginning to help them get off on the right foot and help them be successful from the very beginning. The difference between what we do and then what academic advising does, academic advisors are there to help you with your progression to your major goals. So if you are pursuing a certain major, they're there to help you make sure you're progressing to graduation. You're taking the courses that you're needing to be taking, you're doing them in the order that's appropriate, and you're staying on track. Then we step in once you're in those classes, once the students are in classes, to make sure that you are getting what you need to be successful in the classes. So we work hand in hand. We are very connected with the advising community, just taking a different lens at the student experience.
Awesome. Thanks, Jenny. I appreciate you sharing about our wonderful coaches and all they offer. Tabitha, I want to move to you. So you mentioned you work with our Vol Study Center, and I think one thing that can be kind of the learning curve is how different a study center in a college space is from especially one in a high school space that they may be used to. So can you just kind of share with us a little bit when a student comes to visit the Vol Study Center, what can they expect? What is that experience going to be like? And just tell us a little more in depth about the services you all offer and just what that experience overall is going to look like.
Great, good question. So you'll probably hear the word tutoring in different arenas that you're in, but here at UT, we actually don't call tutoring. We call them study sessions or learning assistants. And we do that because we don't want the stigma attached to our resource when students are either asking for help, which takes a lot of courage, or students who are just working toward keeping a higher GPA. So we work with all sorts of students, students who just like to have a thought partner in the room with them. We do one-on-one study sessions. Maybe somebody that they felt like the instructor was going a little bit too fast for them and they just need to have it re-explained. So, they're sitting down with someone just to help them work through a difficult concept. When a student comes in and uses our services, we focus on a sense of belonging. What that means is that every student who comes in our door, as I mentioned before, it takes a lot of courage to ask somebody for help. So we want to make sure the moment that they enter our doors, that they're greeted by, another friendly student who can just kind of just talk them through what it's like to be a student at UT and what it's like to ask for help. We offer free resources such as free printing. We've got some coffee and snacks on hand. We know that students often roll out of bed, and then rush to their first class and skip breakfast, and then they are running low on that energy they need to go to the next class. So they'll come by and grab a granola bar or something. We also just offer some study space as well for students at various locations on campus. So we have a main location, which is located in Strong Hall, where our chemistry and biology classes are, but we also have space in the Hodges Library, Pendergrass Library, and a couple of other locations on campus, so that we try to be accessible to students as they are coming and going from their classes. So we had about almost 200,000 interaction with students last semester, which is incredible, but that just shows you the volume of students, how serious they are about being a strong student. And we're really proud of the work that we do. We've got all peer tutors, so all of the staff that I have working for me, they're all trained. They go to our study center training. They know what it's like to be a student, and they're very supportive of their peers that come in for help. Hopefully that answers your question, Tara.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing about all of that, sharing about the Vol Study Center and what that experience is. We greatly appreciate it. And an awesome resource and a great location because it's kind of central to campus. So thanks for sharing about that. Heather, want to move to you next. And so, one question that we get a lot of is about students who had a 504 plan in high school. And how does that translate to college? And knowing that it's different between high school and college. So, for the families or for the students who are with us who have a 504 plan, can you kind of talk about what that process looks like for them to set up accommodations and assistance through your office here on Rocky Top?
Absolutely, Todd. Great question. So for students who had a 504 plan in high school, accommodations in college are not automatically occurring. They have to reach out to our office and kind of implement that. And they do that by registering with our office. There's a registration form on our website. They'll complete that registration form and then it comes to our office. Once our office receives that, someone will reach out to your student either by phone or email to try and establish a connection and to set up a welcome meeting. And that welcome meeting can be done remotely. It can be done in person, whatever your preference is. Once a student comes in for a welcome meeting, that just means that they're meeting with an access coordinator. During that meeting, they'll talk about their history with accommodations. They'll talk a little bit about what challenges they've experienced in the classroom and what accommodations have been beneficial and reasonable for them in the past. So during that meeting, they will set up an accommodation plan, and that accommodation plan is typically in place the entire time they're in college, unless changes need to be made. Once that accommodation plan is in place, what your student will have to do every semester is just log in and request the course access letters, and that notifies the instructors that they have accommodations. So it's a pretty simple process. And there's no meeting from moving forward after that initial meeting unless the student needs that, has questions or has challenges.
Awesome. Thanks, Heather, for sharing about that, especially just how that process looks. I appreciate that because that's definitely important, especially for our first year students coming in as they navigate a new process. So thank you.
Mhm.
Johnny, want to switch it back over to you now. So we've had a few questions come in from family members whose students are participating in a variety of events that take place before the school year starts, like Rush or Ignite or recruitment. What does it look like if they have an event going on in recruitment or Rush or Ignite or anything like that that's scheduled the same time as, one of the required events is Big Orange Welcome? Can you kind of break down what families and students need to know when it comes to
Yeah.
that schedule?
So the good news is we work very closely with Sorority and Fraternity Life, the Jones Center for Leadership and Service, band, any sort of pre-arrival program that your student might be participating in. We work very closely with them to make sure that your Big Orange Welcome required events do not conflict. So if you are going through recruitment, do not worry. All of the events will fall in line with your recruitment schedule and your Big Orange Welcome schedule. Same thing with night. We do have one of the events, the required events is called Authoring Your Story, and this specifically aligns with your move-in date. So all of the girls going through Panhellenic recruitment will come to this event together. It will be after one of their days of recruitment. But again, we have this all planned out. We know that everyone has lots of things happening that first week. So we have worked very closely with the necessary people across campus to make sure that students can do it all.
Awesome. Thanks, Johnny. Great information about that and just making sure that they can really get the full experience from all things they're involved in. So thanks for sharing about that. Jenny Ward, want to move back to you talking all things career. So we have a lot of students who are eligible for what's called work study. And so, one of the big questions I think is, okay, well, I have work study. So how do I find a job that's eligible for work study? And what does that process look like that might be different than just finding a job that, is just kind of in addition to my study? So will you just share a little bit about what students who are going to have work study need to know to get that set up and going?
Yes, it is a common question. So students might wonder what federal work study is. How do I know if I have it? What does that mean? And federal work study is based on financial need, financial eligibility, and it is listed through the one-stop office. So students are paid for on-campus employment, but they're just paid from a different pot of money. if they qualify for federal work study. Now, some positions on campus can be paid like either through the department or through federal work study. So if there's a place that a student really wants to work, they can certainly ask. I can give the example of our office. We hire peer career advisors each fall to serve as paraprofessionals and help their peers with resumes, cover letters, interviews, navigating some of the career development resources. And those students can be hired through Handshake as career employees and then paid by federal work study. So students could check both places. They could check Handshake for part-time jobs, and they could check the federal work study portal that they will find on the onestep.utk website.
Awesome. Thanks, Jenny. I appreciate you sharing about that. Jenny Boucher, moving to you now. So you talked about coaches and all they offer. We've had several questions come in now of, okay, that's great. So how do I find this coach? Do I go find one myself? Is it assigned to me? So kind of break that down for us about when students can meet their coach and get to start interacting and all those good things.
Yeah, thank you for that. So students will be assigned an academic coach as they transition into the semester in the upcoming weeks. So we assign out our coaches based on either the student's college or a program that they're involved with. So all of our students who are engaged with the Tickle College of Engineering, for example, have one of two of the coaches in our office, either Mia or Sarah. Our students who are engaged with the UT Success Academy have assigned coaches based on their engagement with the UT Success Academy. So we do assign them, and that process is happening now. So they should be assigned out really soon over the next few weeks, leading into the fall semester. And then when the semester begins, your students will receive introduction emails introducing your student to their coach. It'll have their name, their contact information, a picture, and a little bit about them. So your student will get a little bit of an insight about who their coach is, hopefully before they do get a chance to meet them. So we're doing that introduction. We're getting that started over the summer. But if your students come and they want to meet with their coach, they can see who their assigned academic coach is in Vol Connect. Vol Connect is the system that we use for many different things on campus, including scheduling appointments for academic coaching, academic advising, the study sessions in the Vol Success Center. So Vol Connect is a really important app. I encourage everyone to download that if they have not already. It's also used to check into events. But in the Vol Connect app, when the students log in, they'll see who is on their Vol Success team. And so that's going to include their academic advisor. It's going to include their academic advisor their academic coach and their academic advisor, and then also include their one-stop counselor. So they'll get introduction emails in the next few weeks, the next couple months, and then they can also see that in Vol Connect when they get here on campus in the fall.
Awesome. Thanks, Jenny. I appreciate you sharing about that. I think you also bring up email. Have your students checking it now. They're starting to already get wonderful information. And so I think this is the perfect chance to plug that Vol Mail is already working. And so a great time to go ahead and be checking that if the students aren't already. Tabitha, I want to go back to you. You brought up something earlier that we've actually had some questions come in about, and that's students getting to work in the Vol Study Center. And so can you kind of share what those roles are, what that looks like, and how students can go about finding that and being a part of the great work of the Vol Study Center?
Well, happy to share that. Hopefully I'm not getting any echo now. So we have several different positions available for students. We have a peer learning assistant who does one-on-one tutoring. We have a supplemental instruction or SI leader who leads facilitated group study sessions. And we also have something called a review rally leader, which is someone who does exam reviews. And we have a front desk person. So we have 4 different roles in our center. So excited that we are able to offer students positions on campus. It helps them with their studies. There's actually evidence that says that if they are on campus, they stay there where their resources are. They're helping other students. They're building their own knowledge base for themselves. So how they find our positions is through, they can find it on Handshake, but they can also just come into the Vol Study Center. We also have those application links on our website for students. They have to have earned a B or better in a course that they are providing tutoring in. They also have to maintain a 3.5 GPA, and they have to have 2 faculty recommendations. So in order to help another student, they need to make sure they maintain that. And we check that every semester. So yeah, we start at a range from anywhere from $12 to $15 an hour as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Tabitha. I appreciate you sharing about that. As someone who worked in their study center in college, great job. Very cool. Highly recommend. So thanks for sharing about that. Heather, want to go back to you now. And so we've had some questions come in around documentation. I know that's of course a big piece in students be able to receive those accommodations. So can you just kind of break down what that looks like for accommodations? And I also want to add as well, a student may not have accommodations currently, but later on in their time on Rocky Top, they may need those accommodations, that extra assistance. So can you kind of break down what that looks like for incoming students, but then also how they could do it in the middle of their time on Rocky Top?
Yeah, definitely I can talk about that. So for incoming students, we get a lot of IEPs, and while we will always accept IEPs and review them for the necessary information, sometimes IEPs or 504 plans don't always include all of the information that we need. But we are not as worried about documentation as we are about getting your student in and setting up that accommodation plan. So what we ask is that students go ahead and fill out that registration form, go ahead and set up that meeting with the access coordinator, and then they can discuss with you if the accommodation or documentation that you've provided isn't adequate. They can discuss with you what additional documentation they would need. Basically, what they will look for is any type of documentation that includes functional limitations. It includes a little bit of history. Sometimes psychoeducational evaluations, they include a lot of information, and that's great. If you don't have a psychoeducational evaluation, we can accept documentation provided by a medical provider or a psychologist. So we have a form on our website that you can review. It's about documentation guidelines. For transfer students, same thing. We just want to get you in and get you seen and get that accommodation plan in place. We can provide provisional accommodations for up to 6 months for those students who may not have adequate documentation. So that can be in place while you're working on gathering your documentation. You're still receiving those accommodations.
Awesome. Thanks, Heather. I appreciate you kind of breaking that down, including documentation and the process behind the documentation. Johnny, want to go back to you now. And I know this is one you've been answering in the chat, but we've been getting it a lot. So I want to kind of go ahead and address it here as well. So we have, of course, our Vol 103s have wrapped up. A lot of students have already gone through advising. And some students are not seeing FYS 101 on their schedule, but they want to take it. So can you just kind of share a little bit about that, what they need to do in order to get enrolled in that class if they aren't already?
Yeah, so for some of you, if you are in the Haslam College of Business, the Tickle College of Engineering, the College of Nursing, or the College of Music, you will probably still be enrolled in this class. It's just going to be called something a little bit different. So you have a college-specific first-year seminar on your schedule. For a Haslam student, you're going to see BUAD 100. For a nursing student, it's NRUS 101. So it just depends on what your college is. Now, if you're not in one of those 4 academic colleges and you're still not seeing it, you're able to go back into your MyUTK. Again, as long as you've already met with your advisor and your advising hold is lifted, you're able to go back in and add that class, any class that fits in your schedule, and just add it right now. You can go ahead and do that.
Easy peasy. We love it. So thanks for sharing about that, Johnny. Before we go to the next question, just want to remind everyone our Q&A is open. We do ask, though, our topic tonight is student success. So that is what we're going to be focusing on, is student success. So we want to make sure the questions you're sending in are on par with our topic of the night. And so keep sending those questions in. We're so glad to see them. Jenny Ward, want to come back to you now. So you mentioned a little bit earlier about the part-time job fair, but that is just one of many, many job fairs that students can find here at UT. So will you just share a little bit about what kind of job fairs we offer, what they look like, and how students can participate in these?
Yes, so we are a centralized career center. So we serve all students first year through 1 year post graduation, all colleges, all majors. So we host quite a few events, usually between 12 and 15. from the Career Center and sometimes in partnership with our academic colleges. So the part-time job fair kicks off our job fair season. Then we have some really large scale events in the fall. Our business, hospitality, and government internship fair. I think that was just posted there in the chat. You can see the whole list. Then we have some niche fairs like supply chain. We do some career mingles that are a little bit more intimate, focused on industries like the arts, communication, media. So just a vast number of events from fall and spring. And most students will intern after their first year in college when they're moving from major toward, career experience. And we encourage our first year students to go to our fairs. We usually have peer career advisors or career coaches, on deck to give students a tour of the fair so they can see if it's one of the larger scale events, how it works, how do the employers show up, what do they bring, what does it look like, how do the students show up, how are they dressed, what types of questions and conversations are happening. And we have stickers that students can wear that indicate that they're just exploring. So they could, come in, take a quick tour, check it out, just start to understand how career networking works in the job fair environment, which is usually a really new experience for students. So we tell them come early, as early as your first year, especially when there's no pressure. You're not really looking for an internship yet. You're not really trying to land that part or that full-time job. But again, just keep an eye out on Handshake, on social media, on career.utk to just know when recruiting cycles happen. One, I think, common myth is that, when if I graduate in May, I need to start looking for a job in the spring. But in reality, many students who intern are offered full-time jobs. Those internships are converted, and so a student could intern in the summer between junior and senior year and have a postgraduate job lined up and not even have to do any searching their senior year. So we want students to just be mindful of the cycle and come early. But I do believe that the full list was posted as is, so they can see. I will also mention that we work closely with our Haslam College of Business, and we have some shared career coaches, and very closely with our Office of Professional Practice and Engineering. So engineering handles their co-ops for students, which are an educational experience where a student goes to class, participates in classes one semester, and then participates in a work experience the next. So they will see the STEM Expo on September 30th, which would include engineering. But those offices do have some in-house support that collaborate with our career coaches.
Awesome. Thank you, Jenny. I appreciate you sharing about all of those, and having that list there is always super helpful, I know, for our students in finding those. So definitely encourage families and students to utilize that. Jenny Boucher, want to come back to you for the next question. So, if a student is having trouble in a class, who would you recommend, or who's the best first person to talk to? Is it the professor? Is it a TA? Is it the Success Center? What is your kind of advice, especially for families who may be the first one having that conversation with their student, of who to really recommend their student to go to in those situations?
Such a good question. And that can often be such a scary moment for a student. And what you do next is a hard thing to know when it's the first time you're experiencing something like that. So thank you for that question. One of the beautiful things about having an academic coach is that there is never a wrong time to reach out to them. And if you are experiencing trouble in the class, I think that's an excellent time to reach out to them. Talking to the professor first is never a bad idea, but sometimes that's also really intimidating and scary. And one of the things an academic coach can do is talk through that with the student. How do you have that conversation? How do you write that email? How do you address what's going on? So an academic coach is a great place to start. If the student feels comfortable talking to the instructor first, they're the ones that are the experts in the class. They can give great advice. But if they're just a little lost and don't know where to turn, coming to an academic coach in the Academic Success Center is excellent. We might not be able to answer the exact question the student's having, but what we can do is get them connected to the right place. So if the trouble that they're having is not understanding the content, we can connect with Tabitha's team and get them connected with a PLA or with an SI session. If it is, getting lost taking notes in class. We can help them with developing some of those skills and working on some of those skills. So coming to an academic coach is a great place to start because we can help them then navigate what is it that's going on, what next steps need to be taken, and who is that right next person to talk to.
Awesome. Thanks, Jenny. I appreciate it. Tabitha, I kind of have a little bit of a similar question, but want to focus in on the Vol Study Center. So we're thinking about students who might be struggling or students who, want to be proactive in that. Where have you seen students really be successful in utilizing that? Is it a certain time frame? Is it certain things they're asking for? If you could kind of build that ideal student utilizing the services proactively, what would that student look like?
Oh, I love that question. So I will say this we can tell the students that have used our services because they are making appointments for weeks out the very first day of classes. After they've looked at their syllabus, they've gone to that first day of class, and we get pretty booked up just within the first 3 weeks of the semester. I will say that the one service that I want to make sure that all of you that are listening today remember, if you're a student, you're going to want to go to an SI session. If you're a parent, and when you're having those weekly phone conversations or however you're communicating with your student, let them know, hey, did you go to your SI session this week? Because SI, we have SI in our most difficult courses, our historically difficult courses, chemistry, biology, accounting, mechanical engineering, statistics. We have a whole list of courses that we provide SI leaders for. For chemistry and biology, we have an SI leader for every single section because the material is difficult, and most of the time you're in a large classroom and it's really hard to get connected to, with other students or perhaps with the instructor in that type of environment for some students. So SI sessions, they meet twice a week outside of class. With somebody who successfully has gone through the course, they earned a B or better. For chemistry, they actually want them to have earned an A or better. And they hold these just study sessions where students are learning how to be good students, how to study. So when I think of a student who is just, figuring things out at a college level, there's a difference between high school and college. I think of that student who is building out a schedule for their whole week, which includes class time, study time, making sure they're getting enough rest. They've got social, ways that they're connecting with other students, but they're also making time to go to these types of exam reviews or one-on-one study sessions. For me, that's an ideal student, and that's where we see the most progress with our students. They figure it out as they go along. Sometimes students learn the hard way where, maybe they didn't do as well as they wanted to on that first math exam. And then we see them after the fact, and we want them to be proactive. We want them to come to us before they start struggling with the class, because really it's just a different way of just learning how to study. So that's using our services, that's using the academic Success Center with the academic coaches. There are so many resources at UT. I've never worked at a university where every single student is cared for in the way that UT supports our students. So that's my ideal student. And then I added something extra that I've just noticed. Sorry.
No, you are totally good. That's I think, a great explanation and just a great way to explain it. One kind of quick follow up. We've had a few people come in that we just explain again what the SI is, that acronym, what that stands for, and just kind of a quick definition of that.
Sure. So SI is supplemental instruction, and it's where we have a student who earned a B or better in that course. They come back to the class, they attend class with the students, they're a model student, but they facilitate group study sessions and exam reviews for those students that are in that particular course. So it's been around since the 1970s, and it's a well-renowned and well-known program that we know is effective.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Tabitha, for all of that. Fantastic answer, fantastic advice for students and families. Heather, I want to turn it back over to you. So we've been talking about, the 504s, we've talked about documentation, we've talked about process, but we haven't really hit yet on what are these accommodations. And so can you just share a little bit about some examples about what these accommodations might be, what a student can expect or what a student can ask for to be offered as a form of an accommodation?
Great question. And there are so many. So I'm just going to hit some of the top ones. We see a lot of students that receive extended time on exams, the ability to test in a separate, less reduced distraction environment. We do provide note-taking support for students. use of a computer for exams, use of a spell check for exams if warranted, sometimes permission to audio record lectures, alternative formats for books, the use of a sign language interpreter or speech to text services in class. So really anything that you may have seen in K through 12, a lot of times you will also see in college with some exceptions. K through 12 does focus on success where we focus on access. So that's where you'll see the difference. But yeah, preferential seating, accessible buildings, accessible locations, so anything like that.
Awesome, Heather. Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing about that. Jenny Ward, want to jump back to you. So I know primarily the folks on the call with us are first year students and incoming families, but it's hard not to think about what comes after college and what to expect for that. I know we've had some questions in the chat you've been answering, but I think this is a great one to talk about too. Can you kind of just share a little bit about what job placement looks like and what opportunities look like for kind of the what the next great adventure is once they finish their degree here on Rocky Top, especially thinking about as they enter the workforce and their career field, kind of what that dynamic looks like as they're nearing the end of their time here on Rocky Top.
Yeah, so the research shows that students who participate in the internships, co-ops, undergraduate research, have more positive career outcomes. So career outcome is the term we use to understand where our students land within 6 months of graduation. So the best advice I could give a student, as I answered in the chat, is to seek out experiential learning, to seek out the types of experiences that really help them build skills that employers are looking for. We call that career readiness. So they need to engage in their major, begin to craft their career goals and participate in experiences that they can find through Handshake, they can find through our career coaches. We have a new initiative called Vol Edge. So it's a career readiness initiative that is really meant to prepare students to understand what are the skills they're learning in their undergraduate experience. How do they access experiential learning opportunities? And again, that's the whole suite of experiences beyond the classroom. And then how do they communicate the value of those experiences to employers, grad schools? So they're going to hear a lot about getting involved on campus and getting the experiences off campus. They're going to hear about Vol Edge. And then we do have a whole employer development team that builds relationships between our campus, our colleges, our students, and employers who seek to hire them. So we have a team that connects with the alumni, the employers locally, regionally, across the nation to really communicate the value of the UT degree and encourage students and encourage employers to recruit with us. So that could be recruiting on Handshake, just posting jobs specific for UT students. It could be coming to one of the events that's listed in the link Lindsay or Amber posted earlier. And then we do have a career outcomes report that tells the top employers that hire UT students each year, so they can see the ones that hire our students, and then they can see salary data. They can see where students land. Many of them do stay in the Southeast, but there are also opportunities nationwide for students. So I did post that in the Q&A. So I don't know if that's one that Lindsay or Amber might want to post again, but the career outcomes data is in the About report. So there's certainly a lot of support through events and through individual help with the career coaches and through the Vol Edge program, where a student could get prepped for a positive career outcome post-graduation.
Awesome. Thanks, Jenny. Appreciate you bringing up, the Vol Edge and how that's integrated so well into their entire curriculum, and how important that is and the benefit it's going to have. So thanks for sharing about that. Jenny Boucher, want to throw this question to you. And so, we've talked about Big Orange Welcome, and Johnny shared a little bit about that, but we actually have an end of the semester program called the Big Orange Finish Line. So can you kind of share a little bit about what the Big Orange Finish Line is, what those programs look like, and how it's really made to equip students as they're approaching the end of a semester?
Absolutely. So the Big Orange Finish Line is a multi-office, a large reaching organization of activities and events and support as we lead into final exams to help students prepare for final exams. So it's the last few weeks of the semester, and students will find a variety of different activities happening around campus to support them in their preparation for finals. So that includes opportunities to engage with their academic coaches. It includes different activities as they prepare for study day, tools and supplies, nutrition, relaxation and de-stress activities. So a lot of different things to help a student feel prepared as they go into final exams, especially important for our first year students in their first semester, the first time that they approach finals. It's a different time, during that week, all they're doing is thinking about final exams, and it's just a different part of the semester. And to help them prepare, help them feel as ready as we can, we have Big Orange Finish Line, like I said, that is supported by a variety of offices around campus within the Division of Student Success, and to address many different ways of support for our students as they approach those finals.
Awesome. Thanks, Jenny. A lot of fun events, a lot of great times, but also a lot of great resources available there. So thanks for sharing about that and giving something to already look forward to at the end of the semester. Well, panelists, we are starting to wrap up our time. So as we get ready to close, I want to give all of you just one more opportunity to kind of share any closing wisdom or thoughts or things that are important to share with our students and their families about your department, as well as if you will tell us what the best way to get in contact or to visit your department might be. So, Johnny, we will kick it off with you again.
Best piece of wisdom for right now. Someone already said it, but I'll say it again because it is that important. Please, please, please have your students be checking their email. Our office, I know, is sending lots and lots of emails at this point. So please have them check their email. And when they get here in August, please, please, please encourage them to get involved and do as much as possible. You heard it here. There is 700 events happening the first week of the semester. So if they text you and they call you and they say they're bored and there's nothing going on, they're lying to you. There's lots happening. So please have them do as much as they can. That's the best way for them to get connected to UT and kickstart their time here on Rocky Top. But the best place to reach our office is honestly by email. That's the quickest, the most convenient. First year at utk.edu. Our website is also shared below, fye.utk.edu, and our phone number if you need to speak to someone one-on-one in person, not in person, over the phone. But it is down below as well.
I agree with Johnny. I also say read Vol Update. Vol Update is the campus newspaper, so to speak. They'll get that in their inbox, and we'll also tell them about all these events. Just so it will be in their email, but Vol Update is one of the emails they'll receive that keeps them updated. And I'd also, just say again, this is the only time in your life where there are so many systems and people and resources in place designed to support your success. So take advantage. And then also, I think just to be brave. I think students, coming to college is a really big deal. It's a big place. There are a lot of people, there are a lot of new experiences and a lot of uncertainty, which is just a really normal part of doing something new. And so I think, telling students to be brave and reach out, and other students are probably experiencing some of the same feelings and would appreciate sharing them with you. And then to reach us, you can see on the slide, career.utk. The email is career@utk. You can send questions there and they'll get answered really quickly. And then, of course, follow us at Vol Careers on social media.
As Johnny and Jenny said, getting involved is such a big deal. And coming to campus is so exciting. And it also can be and get really overwhelming. It's going to be fun. There's going to be so much going on. There's going to be so many opportunities, but there's going to be a time where the students hit and they just feel suddenly overwhelmed. And I just encourage you to encourage your students or any students that are on the call to not be afraid to reach out to us. The academic coaches and so many other people on campus, but the academic coaches are here for you. Our whole job is surrounding you and your success and helping you in that transition to college. So my advice is to not hesitate to reach out. Don't wait until you're stressed, but if you do, then it's the best time to come to us. Come see us, come meet your academic coach. They're going to be a friendly and caring person for you to have on your team. So we look forward to meeting you, and we look forward to seeing that all that you succeed and accomplish in your first year. To reach us, like I said, you can make an appointment through Vol Connect when you are here. You're welcome to email the office or call, which you can see on the screen. Student Success is our larger divisional email, but you can email them, it'll get to us. You can also email academicsuccess@utk.edu, and that'll get you right to our team. But we're excited to see you and can't wait to see you on Rocky Top soon.
Right. So I know there's already been some really great things mentioned. I will stress to students that you are not alone when it comes to just feeling like, you feel like you're struggling, or there's just a lot going on with everything about college, and just one class after another, you're exhausted and there's so much. So realize that you're not alone. I think sometimes people like to internalize that and just think, it might be me. It's not. It's everyone. You're all going through it together, and you've got help and resources at everywhere you turn. So make sure you're taking advantage of those resources. As Jenny mentioned before, our information is there also on the page. You can see that the easiest way to get a hold of us is through our email, volstudycenter@utk.edu. Of course, we always welcome you to drop by Strong Hall 102 and come see us in person. I did forget to mention that we do have in-person and online tutoring if you need it. So we're available in both capacities, but it's been wonderful speaking with all of you, and I know we're gonna have a great fall together. Thank you.
So just to reiterate what both Jennies on this panel had mentioned, be brave and reach out. I think students who have accommodations in K through 12 often feel like they want to have a reset. I don't want to have to use accommodations in college. And so they'll start out very often not using those accommodations and not reaching out. And then they'll get in the middle of the semester, and sometimes it's a little harder, and it feels a little more intimidating to reach out in the middle of the semester when you're not in maybe the best place. So setting up that accommodation plan early, it really is an independent decision. Once they have that accommodation plan in place, they can use it or they cannot use it. So it really is their decision, but it's easier to have it in place and not use it, and then feel like, oh, I think I do want to use this after all, and make that change pretty quick. So again, our information is there. The best way to reach us is at sds@utk.edu, and just let us know how we can support your student.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, panelists, so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your guidance, the advice, all the great things you have shared tonight. This has been wonderful. So thank you all so much for taking time out of your Thursday night to be here with us. For our participants, thank you as well for being here with us. Thanks for taking time to spend a little bit of your Thursday joining us, learning about these great resources, and kind of what to expect and all the great things happening here on Rocky Top. So we do have a survey that we would love for you to take. You can find the link there, or you'll get it in an email later on this week. So we always appreciate that feedback. So we ask you to take it. It's a very quick survey. We ask you to complete the online orientation as well if you've not done so already. Lots of great information there. All sorts of good things there. We want to make sure that you join the Tennessee Family Association. And so that is free to join. That gives you access to wonderful things like the recordings of these sessions. If you have missed any of the sessions or you can't make one of our next ones, you can find information there. You can find information about those 700 Big Orange Welcome events that Johnny said were taking place. I heard Johnny's going to be at all of them. So if your student really wants to meet Johnny, that's a great place to go. And so all sorts of great things happening on Rocky Top that you can find there, completely free to access. So visit that link to find all sorts of great information. Last but not least, we hope we see you back here in the same place in 2 weeks. Our next session will be session 5, and it's what we call our Big Four. That's going to be parking, dining, housing, and one stop. And so that will take place 2 weeks from today on that Thursday. I am realizing too, though, that it will be the 24th. So June 24th is that Thursday. And so make sure you join us June 24th at 7 o'clock. Register for that. You can find more information in the Family Hub. So thank you all so much for being here with us. We appreciate you taking time on this Thursday. We hope to see you again in 2 weeks, and we especially can't wait to see you this August. So have a great rest of your night. Have a great 2 weeks until we see you again. And as always from Rocky Top, go Vols.